right, so today we're going deep into The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah, it's one that I think a lot of people know from the movies,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going back to the source material, the book.
By Patricia Highsmith,
Yes.
1955.
And we're using the Wikipedia article as our guide.
Perfect.
So if you haven't read it or seen any of the movies, basically we're talking about Tom Ripley, a young man kind of down on his luck in New York City in the 50s. And he gets this opportunity.
A wealthy businessman, Herbert Greenleaf.
Right. He sends Ripley to Italy to bring back his son, Dickie.
Who's living the good life, much to his father's chagrin.
Yeah, and Ripley sees this as his chance to, like...
Climb that social ladder.
Exactly.
And he's not afraid to lie to get there.
No, not at all. So Ripley goes to Italy, he meets Dickie, and he starts making up all these stories.
About knowing him.
Yeah, about their supposed friendship.
To get into his, inner circle.
Totally. And he even moves in with Dickie and his girlfriend, Marge Sherwood.
Setting the stage for some serious tension.
Oh, absolutely. You can just feel this, like, underlying unease,
Oh, yeah. Highsmith is so good at creating that atmosphere, you just know Ripley's not being genuine.
Right. And his fascination with Dickie, it's intense.
Bordering on obsession.
Definitely. And then things get even more complicated when another character shows up. Freddie Miles.
Oh, Freddie.
Yeah.
He's a real wrench in the works for Ripley.
He totally is. Freddie sees right through him.
And he's not afraid to say it?
No, which really disrupts everything Ripley's been working towards.
It's like the calm before the storm, you can feel the suspense building.
Okay, so here's where things take a dark turn. Ripley's obsession with Dickie, it boils over, and
he murders him.
Yeah, during a boating trip.
Stages it as an accident.
But what's so chilling is how methodical he is about it.
Oh, totally. Highsmith goes into detail about how Ripley covers his tracks. It's not just a crime of passion, it's calculated.
And he doesn't stop there. He takes over Dickie's life completely. Forging checks, writing letters, even fooling Marge.
He really becomes Dickie, at least in the eyes of the world.
But of course, it can't last forever.
Right. Cracks begin to show.
Freddie gets suspicious.
Which leads to, well, another unfortunate incident.
Yeah, and the police start investigating.
Even Marge finds something that doesn't add up.
Dickie's rings.
Right. It's a close call for Ripley.
He almost gets caught.
But he's a master manipulator. He manages to deflect the blame.
And then there's that crazy twist at the end.
The inheritance.
I know. He gets away with everything.
And inherits Dickie's fortune. It's a twisted kind of justice, isn't it?
Totally. But it's not a happy ending, is it?
No. He may be rich, but he's living a lie.
Always looking over his shoulder, paranoid.
A prisoner of his own deceit.
It's a great setup for the rest of the Ripley ad, the 4 books that follow.
Yeah, those really delve into the consequences of his actions.
And we'll be talking about those next time.
I can't wait to get into them.
Me too. Welcome back. So, last time we left, Tom Ripley, well, he's living a lie, right? He's got everyone fooled, but at what cost?
Yeah, it's that classic Highsmith ending, Like, he wins, but it feels wrong.
Exactly. And it really gets you thinking about identity. Like, what does it even mean for Ripley?
Well, he wants to be Dickie Greenleaf, right?
Yeah.
Have his life, his money, his everything.
Yeah, but is it just about the stuff? It feels like it goes deeper.
It does. It's like he's trying to absorb Dickie's essence, become him completely.
Right. It's almost like he's trying on identities, First he's the worried friend, then he becomes Dickie.
And you have to remember the context. This book came out in 55.
Oh, right after the war.
Exactly. There was all this anxiety about class, about getting ahead.
And Ripley's just this, embodiment of that.
Yeah. Wanting a better life no matter what it takes.
And that brings up the moral question, too. Because we kind of root for him.
Even though he's a murderer. It's crazy how Highsmith does that.
But how does she do it? I mean, he's clearly the bad guy.
She's just so good at suspense. You're always on edge waiting to see what he'll do next.
Yeah, and she gives us these glimpses of his inner thoughts.
He's not just a monster. He's human. Flawed, but still human.
But those flaws lead to some seriously dark places. And he's constantly afraid of being caught.
Oh, yeah. Remember that line about seeing policemen on every pier? Chillin'?
Even with all that money, he's trapped.
A prisoner of his own lies.
It makes you think, what's success really worth? Can you ever be happy if you get it that way?
Right. It's a cautionary tale, but also a really fascinating one.
So where does Ripley go from here? I mean, this is just the first book.
This is just the beginning. There are 4 more books, the Ripley ad.
Oh, so it's not like he's going to keep running and hiding forever.
Some of that, sure, but Highsmith gets really creative.
Like in Ripley Underground. I remember that one, the art forgeries.
Perfect for him, right? Faking things, creating illusions.
And Ripley's game was wild. He basically manipulates someone into becoming a hitman.
So cold-blooded, but you almost admire his, like, twisted genius.
It's hard not to. It's like, is Ripley evil or just really, really good at justifying his actions?
That's the question that keeps coming up in these books.
And you see him getting more confident, more ruthless, but also more lonely.
Yeah, like in The Boy Who Followed Ripley. He's almost a mentor to this kid.
Passing on his messed up worldview.
It's like his actions have this ripple effect, influencing others.
And by the last book, Ripley Underwater, he's living this seemingly normal life.
Married, rich, but still haunted.
All that wealth and comfort, but built on lies and violence.
It's twisted, yeah, but that tension between what he wants and what he's done, it's fascinating.
So the Ripley ad is like watching the slow-motion train wreck, right?
In a way, yeah, but it's also brilliant how Highsmith shows his evolution.
Ripley gets what he wants, but he loses himself in the process.
He can never truly connect with anyone because he's always hiding something.
It's a tragic ending in a way.
But also a thought-provoking one. It makes you question what really matters in life.
So before we jump into the Ripley ad, I have to ask, why do people love these books so much? Why is Ripley so captivating?
I think it's because Highsmith isn't afraid to show us the darkness in human nature. We all have those impulses, those desires. She just brings them to life in a way that's both disturbing and impossible to look away from.
Right. We're attracted to the danger, the taboo, but it also makes us confront our own morality.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the Ripley ads so enduring. It's not just entertainment, it's a mirror reflecting our own complexities.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Tom Ripley. We saw him transform into Dickie, inherit his fortune, but ultimately become a prisoner of his own lies.
Yeah, and now we're stepping into the Ripley ad, the 4 books that really explore what happens after that ending.
Right, because you think, okay, he got away with it. What more is there to tell?
But that's the genius of Highsmith. She takes us deeper into his psyche.
So it's not just like Ripley on the run, changing identities every other chapter.
There's some of that, for sure, but it's more about how he deals with being Tom Ripley.
Okay, I'm intrigued, so where do we start?
Well, the first one is Ripley Underground, and he gets involved in art forgery.
Oh, wow, that's perfect for him. Creating fakes, illusions, just like he does in his own life.
Exactly. It's a world where deception is almost expected, a natural fit.
Right. And that makes me think of Ripley's game, because there he's manipulating people too, but in a much darker way.
Yeah, he's orchestrating this whole elaborate scheme to get someone else to kill for him.
It's so chilling, but there's this party that's like, damn, he's good at it.
It's hard not to admire his twisted brilliance, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ripley. He's a monster, but a fascinating one.
And that's the question Highsmith keeps bringing up. Is he born evil? Or did he become this way because of his choices?
It's like a nature versus nurture debate, but with murder.
Right, and I think it's what keeps people coming back to these books, trying to figure him out.
Because even though he does horrible things, there's this, I don't know, vulnerability to him.
You see his anxieties, his fears, even though he hides them well.
And those glimpses of humanity make him even more disturbing in a way.
Totally, because you realize he's not some unfeeling monster. He's choosing this path.
And that choice, it just keeps getting darker as the series goes on.
Especially in The Boy Who Followed Ripley, when he's mentoring this young guy.
Almost like he's passing the torch, corrupting someone new.
And that book really shows how his actions, they have consequences beyond just himself.
It's like ripples spreading out, affecting everyone around him.
And by the last book, Ripley Underwater, it seems like he settled down.
Married, rich, living the good life in France.
But the past always catches up with you, right?
Absolutely, and you can feel that tension building throughout the book.
It's like he's trapped, even though he's surrounded by beauty and luxury.
Yeah, all those material things, but he can't escape what he's done.
It's that classic theme. You can run, but you can't hide.
So, after all these books, what does Ripley teach us? What's the takeaway?
I think it's a warning, but also a reflection.
About
the dark side of human nature, about the choices we make.
Because Ripley could have been different, right? He had chances to turn away from this path.
Yeah, but he didn't. And that's what's so compelling. He shows us the slippery slope of moral compromise.
How one bad decision can lead to another, and before you know it, you're in too deep.
Exactly. And I think that's why people are still fascinated by him, even though he's a terrible person.
Because he forces us to look at the darkness in ourselves and ask, Could I ever become like that?
And that's a really uncomfortable question, but an important one to consider.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of Tom Ripley and the Ripley ad. We've seen his rise, his fall, his everything.
And if you're looking for a series that will challenge you, make you think, and maybe even keep you up at night,
Patricia Highsmith is the author for you.
just be prepared to be disturbed, intrigued, and maybe even a little bit changed by the end.
Because once you step into Ripley's world, you might never see the world the same way again. Thanks for joining us.